You're listening to Amazing Radio. This is Amazing Afternoons. I'm delighted to say that I'm joined on the line by Kayla Painter. How are you doing, Kayla? Are you okay?
Hi, yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me today.
It's a total pleasure because last week you were my single of the week on this show. You are very busy at the moment, releasing music and on tour as well, and in 3D. Let's get straight into it. How's the tour going?
Yeah, it's amazing, thanks. And so Balloons, the single that was single of the week, it's so nice to take that out on tour. So it's the first time it's going into a live space. But also, playing the AV show, which I normally do, which is audio-visual stuff, but in 3D has been really exciting. So everyone gets given some glasses to put on when we, it's proper like 80s style, like cardboard glasses, and it looks amazing. And yeah, it's all kind of red and blue stuff, and it makes the show more immersive. And then I've kind of got obviously the audio tweaked to kind of make it more immersive as well. So yeah, it's been going really good. I forget how long it is, like doing a whole day driving and gigging and driving again, but it's going really well.
Yeah, that gig in London you did, it seemed to take you forever to get there. You did the gig and then you drove back the same day. Or, the drive back, always a challenge, but it seemed to take forever. How did you fit it all in?
Yeah. It was crazy. So it took like 5 hours to get there. And I think like the thing is that we went across central London, which is like, a mistake anyway. But I don't know. Yeah, it's just hard work. And then on the way back, like you think, the way back, everything will be really quiet and we can just zip through the motorway. Well, they closed the motorway. So we were driving around Slough, we were driving down to Winchester, and they're just like, where are we? We're nowhere near Bristol. This is ridiculous. So following all these diversions, it took 4.5 hours to get back. So yeah, it was for me, it was a 22-hour day for me in terms of being awake, and a 14-hour shift. I don't think that was 14 hours working, so it was a long day.
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it, where you've got to weigh up the pros and cons of a drive back, and you're thinking, is it worth trying to get a travel lodge for 25 quid or whatever in advance, or should we just drive back the same day and try and save on that? But in the end, the next day you feel absolutely shattered, right?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. I was shattered, but I also had to work the next day. So there was just, we thought about the hotel thing and I would have been up for it, a cheap hotel somewhere. But yeah, I had to work. So I'd had like 3 hours sleep and I was just doing my job. And I was just like, this is crazy what we're doing. But you just do it because you love, doing the music, don't you? So it's just what it is. But
yeah, just make it happen, don't you?
Yeah.
So let's talk about you as an artist, Kayla. You're based in Bristol, producer, electronic artist. You've been giving us singles and EPs for the last couple of years here at Amazing. I've been enjoying playing them, not just on the radio, but also in my spare time as well at home. And I think you're growing as an artist. I think your fan base is definitely growing as well. You've got this kind of subscription model as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that for the listeners who maybe don't understand that? And a little bit, if you don't mind, about that room you're in right now and how you create your tunes.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I have been kind of building and growing as an artist over the last few years, I think. And I think over lockdown, I was thinking a lot about how to make my music a sustainable venture, I guess. And I think for anyone out there that kind of listens to podcasts or supports artists in other ways, you've kind of got that subscription model. So it might be like Patreon, or you can do it on Bandcamp, where you're just giving an artist or a content creator some money every month, and then they give you the content in return. And it's sort of a nice way of building a community. And so I kind of launched my Bandcamp subscription service because I felt like it was the right time to do it. And also I felt like I wanted to really create more of a community with my fans that wasn't based around social media. Like obviously social media is a necessity, but it's quite hard to reach your fans when they also have got, there are algorithms happening that means they might miss stuff. And I just really wanted to have that direct communication with them. So I set that up, and it's a really, really lovely community actually. And so what I do is I post videos like video diary stuff where I'm showing people around my studio and I'm showing people how I'm making a track, but then also they get like exclusive gifts, and then they also get everything I've ever done digitally as part of that. So like the latest single just goes straight to their inbox the second it comes out. So it's a really nice way of doing it, and I'm it's kind of working out. It's always a bit of a gamble. You think, I don't know if this is going to be the right thing, but yeah, it's going well. And speaking of that, showing people around my studio, where I'm talking to you from now is my home studio, which is just a spare room in my house. And those panels you can see behind me, which are the listeners, there's some blue panels behind me. They're soundboards that I made. So the whole studio is like a DIY setup, really. And it's just like you could just learn how to do all that stuff on YouTube, really. So it's all done on a budget. And yeah, I've got some synths here. I've got a couple of Genelecs monitors, a Focusrite sound card, Glockenspiel, some microphones. So yeah, kind of everything I need really to make my stuff.
And is it growing all the time in terms of hardware as well? Are you constantly looking on the internet for secondhand amazing analog gear and stuff? Are you starting to get a bit of a tech head in that kind of sense?
A little bit, I think. So the latest thing I bought was a Korg Minilog XD, and for years I've just never splashed out on a synth because it's a lot of money, and you just, anyway, I did that, and once I kind of realised what the kind of versatility of the sound was, I was like, what have I been missing? So maybe that hardware shopping is to come for me. I don't know.
Yeah, because there's a kind of argument, isn't there, against like the whole kind of MIDI keyboard presets and all that. You can buy a lot of the simulators, if you like, through that, and a lot of DJs and producers just use that. But then you've got like, people who collect vintage synths and all that, and they're really about the classic 808 sounds and all that kind of thing. As a bit of a connoisseur yourself, are you starting to see the difference there? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. I think I can hear the difference, and I can sort of see the attraction of getting into it now. I think personally, just on a sort of financial side of it, it's not something that I'm in the position to do. So I'd never worry about it too much. But when there are smaller things that I can afford that are hardware, I think, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I'll give that a go. So yeah, I think I am starting to see that a bit more. I do use software synths sometimes, but to be honest, it's always been a bit of a mix of software synths and then real sound. So if I don't have a hardware, if I'm not using hardware, I'd be using an instrument and then processing it. So like saxophone or voice, and I'll be processing that to make a weird sound. So I guess that's part of my process. And then, yeah, that and sort of adding this new thing into it, which is a little bit more hardware stuff. So yeah, absolutely. I could definitely see the attraction and how people kind of sink all their money and time into it.
Yeah. Is there any kind of historic kind of electronic music makers where, I don't know, if they've got like a studio space or something like that you'd love to work in, or perhaps an artist who you'd love to work with who have all this hardware? Because you see people like, on my feeds, I've got people like Errol Alkan and other producers like Orbital and stuff like that, and they've just got banks and banks of like thousands of pounds worth of analog equipment. And myself coming from a kind of indie rock kind of background, it was always good to go into those studios with all those really old guitars and amps, and it's only when you go into those spaces where you're like, oh, let's try this, because it's essentially like you're walking into a museum, but you're allowed to play with the toys.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know if there's someone in particular. I suppose sort of historically I would have been interested in what was going on in the Radiophonic Workshop, and kind of thinking like really in the past, thinking about Delia Derbyshire and Daphne Oram and people like that. But I suppose sort of on a more contemporary basis, and I've been thinking about this a lot recently, is like you can learn so much from like going into one of those spaces and just working with someone. And I suppose my kind of key producers or people that I'd be really interested in doing that with would be somebody like, I'd say Object, I'd say Fortet, but Fortet has like a very stripped back setup, or whenever he posts stuff, it's like he's got 2 KRKs and a laptop, and it's like, oh right, he's just, I think he probably goes to different studios, but I'd kind of be interested to see how he gets to where he gets to using the gear he doesn't seem to show a lot.
Yeah, I think, does he do a lot of, I know he's a massive vinyl head as well, so I don't think he does a lot of sampling and takes the sounds from that. But yeah, so Fortet is someone who you get a lot of influence from then, Kayla.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, I think I sort of found his work when I was in university, maybe a bit before, and I was really inspired by it. And so I guess I kind of grown in sort of my understanding of electronic music has grown through his releases, and I found like I get really inspired by him. But sometimes I think, oh, my stuff is similar, but actually I'm not sure that it is. I think it's just that there is an inspiration there for me in terms of like, he might do a lot of sampling or use lo-fi samples and kind of create something really different with it. And I think that's something that I really like to try and do as well in terms of sampling sounds. Yeah,
I can hear that now that we're having this conversation, Kayla. There's definitely a kind of organic reference point in there of Kieran's work. So, that's good. Fair play. All good. So in terms of releases, we've had the recent single, which was single of the week, Balloons in the Arcade. What's next on the horizon?
Oh, okay. So I'm thinking about bringing something out in the summer. That's my plan. But then I've also got something coming later in the year, which is a longer project, which is coming out on a label. So I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to reveal, but I can just tell you that it's sort of like an extended EP. So it's almost like an album length, which is really exciting because that's finished and it's been sent off now. So that's coming in October. So I'm hoping that what I will do is bring a couple of tracks, maybe a single, maybe a double A side in the summer before that. And I loved writing balloons, and I really want to write something upbeat again because I think maybe I feel like people might need it right now, and also I really enjoyed making it, and I think that comes across in it, and that's great. Like if you can hear the joy in something, and then someone can pick up on that and enjoy it themselves, it's a really nice feeling.
Yeah, in particular as well, with you playing live at the moment as well, do you find that the bangers are going down that much better? People are bopping along a little bit easier to the soundscapey stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I do. And also, I think post-COVID, people are just more accepting of some of the stuff that isn't the banger type stuff. So, like you say, the more soundscapey stuff, I feel like people are really more immersed in it because we've been, it's a weird time. Like, obviously, we can do stuff again now, but after having lost so many years or months of being out of action, I think people are still really like, oh yeah, we can go and experience this live audio and enjoy it and be immersed in it, and they're more attentive and they're more, so it's great. And yeah, the bangers are going down really well. People seem to be like getting more into it physically and just cheering more. It's a lovely atmosphere.
Yeah, and how much does because you do a radio show yourself, don't you, as well? How much does that kind of inspire you musically as well? Have you, because you're doing the live thing? You said that you can see the difference between the soundscapey stuff and the banger stuff. Can you see reactions from what you're playing on your radio show as well? And is that kind of twisting your music, making going forward as well, Kayla?
Yeah, I think so. So it's I've been doing that show for just maybe like a year and a half now, and I think what is really adding to my production and my confidence is the amount of research I'm doing into new music every month to make sure I can bring together the best show. So I'm hearing a lot more than I ever have been, and I'm much more quick to understand why something is good. I think that's you've got to have more of a critical ear to know, okay, I want to play this because of this reason, and I think that's really helped me as a producer, like identify sounds and things that I feel kind of will work in a kind of quicker way. And then also in terms of confidence, taking it across to a live space, I think talking to people on the radio and kind of having this connection with them, it's kind of built my confidence up so that when I go out on stage I actually just feel less nervous, which is a really big thing for me, because if I'm really nervous, it's a shame that you can't get fully into the performance. So I think it's affected me in that way as well, which is brilliant.
Kayla, I could talk to you all day, but I know you've got such a busy schedule. Just to remind people of where those remaining tour dates are and where you're going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So next I'm going to Brighton, then it's Bristol, the hometown show. Then I'm heading up to Manchester, Glasgow, and finishing in Newcastle. So yeah, I'm really excited for the rest of the dates.
Oh, excellent. Kayla, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to us here on Amazing. And hopefully see you soon.
Thank you so much, Frankie.